Solid. Meeting order. We're a couple minutes late. 18:35. There's a number of people. Some I know, some I don't. If you'd please introduce yourself. Where you from? Purpose here, whatever.
I'll start. I'm Betty Fry from Guilford, and I'm the supervisor for the solid waste district here for Guilford.
Bob Spencer, Executive Director, Wyndham Solid Waste Management District, and I'm from Vernon.
My name is Chris Farrell. I'm from Vernon, and I'm here representing Putney Road Redemption.
I'm Mike Ebert. I'm the Guilford representative, House of Representatives, and here to discuss the solid waste bill.
Tim Franklin, Vernon, Vermont. Franklin and Son Rubbish.
Reed Cutting, Reed and Sons Rubbish, Guilford.
Gentleman Squares, Guilford.
Okay, and Deb Dan isn't here.
Wait, you.
Yeah.
So we'll wait for a while for Dan, and we'll go ahead with solid waste.
Okay. All right, so we had, good to see you all. We had a regular board meeting second Thursday in September, and it was really great on my part to see Troy in the audience. We did have a special guest come and speak with us, and we'll get into that because it has everything to do with why we're here today. But we talked briefly after the first part of that meeting. Then we had to have a regular big board meeting, and he passed me a note and said, "Come on and talk to us here." And so that's why I'm here tonight, not so much like a regular, your supervisor. We haven't finished the budget. We're working on things. There's all kinds of stuff happening down there, as you probably know, as you read in the paper. But tonight is more about talking about all the work we've been doing on this new Act 148, what it means to not only us at the district, but everyone that's our partners and works on it. And with Representative Mike Heber, who's been just wonderful with all of us when we've gone up north. But it's a complicated bill, and there's mandatory things in there, and we're unique down here. That's one of the things we've all discovered. There's kind of Casella and us down here, and it's just really important that we all work together and figure out solutions. So does that kind of match, Troy, what your concerns were?
Yeah. And to bring the rest of the board up to
yeah,
speed.
I mean, I don't know really kind of what you're talking about in terms of the purpose and the scope of the bill. Maybe you could tell a little bit about
Exactly. So now I'm going to have Bob speak.
Well, we could have
Mike,
one of the authors of the bill.
We could, but why don't you just set it
Well,
up and then he
that,
can
yeah.
talk about
And I want to defer to Mike if he has
Yeah.
anything to add, because
Absolutely.
on the Committee of Natural Resources, he was right there from the beginning. And I think trying to protect all our interests, because I was involved a little bit too. Essentially, the state of Vermont acknowledges that it has 2 landfills right now, and the Moortown landfill is slated to close within, who knows, a year or two, but not long term, leaving only Coventry, which is, as you know, northern Vermont. I think that unified across party lines the need to deal with solid waste. For many towns, it's number 2 or 3 on their annual budget. Vermont has set recycling goals like all the states and the EPA did back in the 80s, 70s even, and they have not achieved that. As a state, the rates are quite a bit below their goal, which was 30-some%. So they're saying, well, how do we get there? So they said, well, we need to pass legislation. Of course, they didn't put any funding to it. So we really have a bill that says you shall start recycling. It's mandatory. The hauling community is charged with picking up recyclables. How it's going to be enforced is not well defined. It's basically relying on what they call a pay-as-you-throw incentive, where there would be recycling free and trash a charge. And many towns already have some form of that, whether it's a sticker or whatnot. So the solid waste districts throughout the state have as Betty was saying, quite a different, we're all set up differently. We're chartered as municipalities, so we actually have a municipal charter, and some of you were aware we went through that revision of the charter last year for this. But anyway, so we're really trying to figure out how we're going to implement this law. We don't know. The district, Wyndham does not know. The haulers don't know. What I can tell you, and Chris,
Expanded.
yeah, the bottle bill is a huge impact. They're evaluating it, but we have summaries of the bill. We can give them to everyone that can get you the whole law. But what I wanted to point out is that the law, and Mike Hebert can address this, does require an evaluation of how it's going and a report to the legislature, and it calls for revising the legislation. And I think because of all the uncertainty how it would be implemented, this was the way it they satisfied the concerns. Well, if it's not working, or it's too cumbersome, or too expensive, or unfair, we can change it. And there's also provisions for exemptions. So, but it deals with all conventional recycling, bottles, cans, paper. Starts then with yard waste, which isn't really a big deal in a lot of Vermont towns because everyone's got a big backyard, but it is a component of the waste stream that they don't want to bury because you can recycle it. And then it phases in food waste. And it's phased in starting in 2013 all the way up to 2020. So where it gets to residential food waste. So that's a quick summary of it.
Yeah, and I think Bob did a good overview of the bill. Actually, he sounds like he was sitting in our committee. It took up a great deal of our time, and it's a very well-intended bill. And one of the things I did push for was the study that Bob was talking about, because I have some grave concerns about what goes on down here, not only in Guilford and Vernon, but Wyndham County. If you look at our logistical problems, it's not like a Burlington where things are clustered together. And one of the first concerns I had was our haulers down here. There's numerous, well, we have two of them here, but there's numerous haulers in our area that this bill creates a huge problem for and could put them out of business, in that the bill directs them to pick up recyclables for free. Doesn't sound like much, but if you take somebody like Tim, he goes out with his truck. It's not a separated truck. So he's going to go out and pick up all the regular trash. Then he's going to have to go out and do a second run and pick up the recyclables and cannot charge for it. So that creates a great problem. Or if he went out to buy a truck that's separated, regular trash on one side, recyclables on the other, it's still not going to fill up at an equal rate. So he's going to have to go around again. So I was very, very concerned about that. And really, that was the reason I voted against the bill, was what it could do to the small haulers and people like Chris, because we hadn't resolved the issues of the bottle bill. I think the chair of the committee was as cooperative as he could be and was very helpful in putting the implementation off to a further date and having the study put in there. But what we have to do is we have to be diligent and watch what takes place over this next legislative session as far as addressing the issues that the haulers have. Because for us, it could be disastrous. We have a lot of businesses down here. They're small family businesses, and these people work hard, and they're not making a big profit, or they're not on a large margin. It's close as to what they're doing, and they're already being confronted with double price on fuel. Things are really impacting them in a very negative fashion. The one thing I must say and commend Betty and Bob on is they came up to Montpelier frequently, and they were very, very outspoken with their concerns about our haulers also, which in Bob's position, from seeing testimony and stuff, from the director of a solid waste district, it was kind of an unusual position that he's looking out for the little guys in his district. So I appreciated that a great deal.
I do too.
And actually he gave me a bit of an education on trash. I didn't know that much about trash. And once you get into it, it's not a simple issue. But the state does have issues. We do need to resolve it. I think the bill is a good step in that direction, but as I said, we need to be diligent. And I think we need to push for the bottle bill to remain as it is or be expanded, because it's the single best recycling program that we have.
So I was going to ask, because you had mentioned, and Chris was here, what are the issues? How are the redemption process going to change under this bill that has you both concerned?
Well, I think we're not certain at this point. It hasn't been resolved.
Probably a good segue for you, so just identify who you are.
Chris Farrell from Putney Road Redemption. I have a small...
In Vernon.
Yep, in Vernon. I have a small business on Putney Road, and I work closely with the Solid Waste District. They're one of my largest accounts. It's nice because they work with the local community, really helped out. But this bill could directly affect my business in the sense of last year early there were actual talks of getting rid of the bottle bill. I think for political reasons they thought that it was the way to go. So
stop the refund.
The refund, which is, as Mike said, it's the single largest recycling. I mean, what's nice about the bottle bill is we have a recycling rate of over 85% of every container that's put out there. At least 85% comes back, where the state is very concerned about recycling rates not matching even 30%. We're somewhere around 85%. So what they're trying to do initially was trying to get rid of the bottle bill. Like I said, political reasons. One, the beverage industry is very strong, and Casella Waste is very strong. The beverage industry would love to get rid of the bottle bill because, in a sense, it costs them money. They have to pay us for basically our time and for the redemption. So for them to be able to take those dollars and switch it over from their dime to the taxpayer's dime would be a win-win for them. And of course, Casella would win-win because then they would be able to produce, or they could sort that material and then charge the taxpayers for basically sorting that product. So it's really a touch and go situation where I could be out of business in a couple of years. It could go the opposite way. It could expand the bottle bill to non-carbonated beverages, which would be great because then it wouldn't cost the taxpayers any money, and you realize that the recycling rates would then be 85–90% of whatever's put out there.
Thanks for explaining that.
And Mike Hebert was caught, the whole legislature caught in the middle between expand the bottle bill, repeal the bottle bill,
Well, it wasn't a big decision for me because I look at all facets of the bottle bill. And one of the things, I don't know about in Guilford, but in Vernon, certainly, like the Cub Scouts and stuff, they go around, they do a bottle drive. It's a major fundraiser for them.
Yeah.
Well, if you do away with the bottle drive, how the bottle bill, how are you going to raise money for small groups like the Cub Scouts and the Boy Scouts and things like that? And again, it helps us to recycle. So if you did juice bottles and things like that, I mean, if you think about what you still see on the side of the road, it's really not the nickel Coca-Cola bottle or the Pepsi bottle. It's the stuff that's not of any value for someone to pick it up and turn it in. I mean, how frequently do you see somebody walking up Putney Road with a little cart from Hannaford's picking up bottles? It's because they make money off it. So it's a very effective program.
And so that is a good segue to say that, we do have concerns because, in fact, we do, as a district, pick the 5-cent cans. And how much do we make? How much do we make?
I think we spoke, the month of July was approximately $6,000.
Yeah. $40,000–50,000 a year, the district, by manually sorting out, because a lot of people don't redeem them, but yet we still take the next step to sort them. And they go to Chris. That's why he says we're a big account.
And my own personal thing is, those who know me know that my husband and I have a theater, but we buy our 5-cent can. We live here in Vermont. Our theater's over in New Hampshire. And so he sees me a lot in the summer. And I see the activity down there. I see all the different people coming in needing that space. It's another way of making money. I see the people come in with their big bags. They can't wait to get paid. What happens to all that revenue? Never mind the concern that we have with our local people, so I'd like to just have our local hauler people talk about the effect of the bill as they've been paying attention. But first I'd like to say, Bob, tell them what Kathy said even about
Well,
Cheryl.
when Tyler was at Troy, I'm sorry. Troy was at our meeting with Kathy Jameson, who heads up A&R's solid waste program. That afternoon, Kathy had agreed to meet with the hauling community, and Mike Hebert was with us, and we had
And Chris?
and Chris, we had a private meeting, and it was a good discussion. And I was on the phone with once a month, the solid waste directors have a meeting, and it's up in Montpelier, so I usually just call in and sit there on a speakerphone. But Kathy Jameson said, and I didn't tell Tim this, that she told the whole group last Thursday that she really appreciated the dialogue. It was the first meeting she had with haulers, and the meeting that she had in Wyndham Solid Waste. And she said Cheryl Franklin was more knowledgeable of that bill than almost anyone she had spoken with, and submitted 2 pages of questions. So we have. What I'm hearing is we do have an impact and a role. And sometimes we don't feel it from down here, and I also must say that some of the people negotiating this deal attributed Mike Hebert's role as a critical vote that made that bill go through in a unanimous fashion. And he undersells himself, but he was a major player up there.
So we'll continue.
So anyways, Tim.
Tim, Reed, you got anything you want to add to this?
I mean, if this goes through like this, I'm basically out of business. There's no way I can afford to hire another man, put another truck on the road, and run around and pick this stuff up for free. And I mean, they said, oh, you can get a truck that the compartments. Well, like he says, the compartments don't fill equally. Plus, anything I've seen, you've got to go to like a 25-yard body, which now you're getting a lot bigger to get around these back roads. And on my route, I do dumpsters as you go. You can't dump a dumpster into those trucks. So no matter what, it makes extra trips. And if you can't get nothing for it, I mean, right now we have the option that you can bring your stuff down to the bins and do it yourself, and that'll save you if you don't have the rubbish. Well, the only way this works is they do away with that, and then you have to pay whatever it is, because I got to get 1 fee. It's got to be whether you recycle or whether you don't. I can only have 1 fee that I get. And they say, well, what you do is you charge by the pound or whatever. Well, you know how many bags I'd have to weigh every day, and the bookwork it'd be for doing billing? I mean, it's just.
And then I'm thinking the way they're talking, it could be 2017. They're talking mandatory composting, and that's another trip around. If that's the way I understand it, goes through that way too. So there's even in the rural areas. I mean, it doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense.
I mean, if you've got a town contract,
Parts of it anyway.
Solution.
you get into the big towns where they got it like Brattleboro, they've got it, it's all curbside, they bid on it, it's a one-shot deal, they bid, they do it all. It's another thing when you're back here in the sticks.
And we're so focused on local, it's really twisting that right into eliminating local and forcing the hand of large,
You bet.
which is very anti-Vermont.
For us
And
down here.
And I don't
In
believe the
general.
recycling figures are as accurate as they think either, because you've got like Good Enough that does a lot of recycling, it's not considered into that below 30%. You've got CNS and places like that do their own. That's not even figured into what the state counts. So they could very well be over the 30% where they want to be.
Well, thank you for bringing me up to speed. It's been an education for me to hear about this. So, when you were saying, Bob, that Mike was underselling himself, that he wrote the bill, are you talking about the bill that everybody's opposing?
No, the legislation that the act was now law 148. It was 485. In the House Committee on Natural Resources, Mike's role was very important in getting it out of.
Oppose this.
Well, we were able to change some. It was going to be worse. Let's put it that way.
The bottom line was the committee chair and vice chair really wanted a unanimous vote on putting the bill out on the floor. And myself and a colleague from Rutland, Bill Canfield, worked with me to do everything we could to get as many changes as possible in that bill before we would let it go out when a unanimous vote. So we dragged it out for a couple of months. Just, no, we can't have that, we can't have this. And finally, the compromise that we had was, we'll have this study done, and we'll bring the dates further out so that we'll see how the impact really takes place. And our concern really was that, and he understood it being from over near Rutland. He understood the dynamics. He actually represents Fairhaven, but close enough to Rutland to see what happens. The large haulers are safe under this bill. And
And the really, really small ones.
Right.
Because if you haul with a
This is the key.
1 ton truck or less,
You don't have
you're
to register.
exempt. You don't have to supply any of this. Just the guy in the middle gets screwed like always. I
So-
mean,
All right.
if you get Tim and Reed and the other haulers in our area, when you look at their operation, if they go to UN and say, well, it's now X number of dollars to pick up your trash, and we're going to pick up your recyclables for free, that sounds nice, but then the big hauler comes in and says, well, we'll pick up your trash for 20% less, because they can afford to take a hit to get rid of the little guys. And our big concern, Bill and I, was that, the little guys are going to take this on the chin, and there's a lot of local, family-owned businesses that are going to be hit very hard by this. So I'm anxious to get back and try and work on this some more when the legislature goes back in January. Kind of hit the ground running and saying, okay, we really need to follow this closely. And Kathy's actually been very, very helpful in what she's done. She understood the problem, and actually in a couple of sections of the bill, she helped me write what needed to be in there to correct some of the things that we found to be very problematic.
To maybe just look, and on a positive note here, I mean, there will be more tonnage to be moved. There's no doubt about it. If whether it's recyclables or organic waste, leaves, and it takes haulers to do that. So it seems that there's opportunity here for the hauling industry, but it has to be put together in a way that makes it fair for the small and medium.
so you don't have to do it for free.
That's right. I mean, who ever heard of
That'd
that?
be like having a plow
Crushed
rope
in
and
the
you
short
get
term, so they
get
won't
to
be
charge
there
for
the long
everybody
term
with
to do it.
time.
There's that
So
theory.
lose your
But dirt's
business,
free.
and in 2
Yeah.
years, you can't come back to all of a sudden reap the benefits of something that will kick in 4 years from now.
But I'm also just wondering about how much sense it makes in a really rural area, how efficient it really is, frankly.
Well,
Well,
it's hugely problematic.
Well, that's it, and so we're all on top of it, we're all working together. The other thing that we have to think about at the solid waste district is how 19 towns who do it all different recognize that the 24/7s, which we are, become very vulnerable under these conditions. If he doesn't exist anymore, what are they going to do with that trash? Where do you think they're going to go? Okay, so
Cassell will come in and you'll all be taking it.
well, that's it. So we're different than transfer stations. Maybe we're going to have to eventually go Guilford transfer station direction. So if we have more of that, maybe not. We have to explore all these things. But I'm pretty proud of everybody that we're working with, because I think we are all working down here as a team, right? I know I feel that way, and so. You're the first of many, of all the select boards that we're going.
And I did want to thank you for this
Yeah.
opportunity, because this is going to have to.
Gonna take it on the road.
Help us learn how to talk to the boards about this and get your concerns and take them back.
So the other boards is probably not Brattleboro, but the boards in the small towns.
All of them, we're gonna.
Well, I'm going to Stratton next.
Yeah.
They've
Yeah,
already called me,
Stratton. Isn't that
and
great?
Putney, so they're lining up.
Okay.
Not that I have the answers, but
Just one other concern
Yeah,
I
Reed.
thought about, if you're raising the prices to these people, maybe they'll find alternatives like throwing it over the bank or that type of illegal dumping.
Well, that's.
All right, thank you.
Thank
you very much.
It was helpful.
They're on their way. Everybody's leaving.
It's all yours now.
They got my daughter's house.
It's all yours.
Get past my bedtime.
I don't know, yeah, I don't think your helper is gonna show up. So, yeah, Dan Engel will be here to take over the, hey, GPS it.
Why don't we go over the problem first?
Okay, the problem is the flood zone on all
My
the
daughter's in the flood zone.
Uh-huh.
She's 40, how many feet above the brook?
about 48 feet above the
And
brook.
it's costing her $600 through the bank to take out flood insurance.
I see.
And as high as she is, why is she in the flood zone? You know where she lives.
Mm-hmm. Right up the.
Just right just down over the hill.
Yep.
Why?
All Guilford.
Yeah, Mary Poppins is not in the flood zone, so she could get a loan at the bank.
Right.
And she's on the brook.
I see. So what you're thinking is that there is, people aren't being treated the same.
That's right. I mean, they should take my daughter out of the flood zone. That's what I'm fighting for. My boy was in, you had him in the flood zone, which is right here. You look out the back door, you can see his house. Why isn't this building in the flood zone?
Who determines?
Well, all of Guilford, I can shed a little light on this. All of Guilford is basically in flood zone A, which means they've never done a base flood measurement.
I see.
So every individual case that comes up, like Val, they have to go and do a GPS, get an elevation reading on the brook and also the house.
Okay.
And she is roughly 50 feet above the brook, so she definitely is not in the flood zone. It's just a matter of possibly us writing a letter, or Dan Engel was going to try to help him out. Or
So is
Mary
she, 'cause
Poppins
she's,
spent $1,300 to sell a house to get out of the flood zone. I'm not gonna spend a nickel to get out of the flood zone.
how long has she been in that house?
My folks have owned it for 70 years.
So how come she's suddenly,
she's trying to get a mortgage.
I see, I see, I see.
If you
So-
want to get a mortgage on it, or
Yeah.
add on, or do something,
Got it.
she can't, but even what she has now, they billed her $600. And
So-
what she does, she has a payroll deduction, so they already took the $600 on her.
So that this is, she's actually not in the flood zone, but because of Guilford not having done the whole
The
town?
base flood.
Okay, you want-
It's FEMA flood maps
Uh-huh.
is what they are. So FEMA puts out these flood maps, and they're not entirely accurate.
Mhm.
So that's what they base, it's the National Flood Insurance Program.
Yeah.
That they
So
use
what,
the
do
maps.
we have recourse?
Well,
yeah.
she could go through a letter of amendment to get her out of the flood. Your son did it a while
Yeah,
back.
'cause they had his house downside of
Yep, I
the
remember.
center road, which his house is way up here.
Yeah, we had gotten some information for, was it your wife that came in a while back
So,
to work with trying to get FEMA to give them an amendment.
I mean, you can't sign a paper saying that she's not in the flood zone, that she
We
can
don't-
turn over
it's-
to the...
It's not the town that,
But can the town write a letter to the,
yeah, we can do
to
that.
encourage?
But let me get back to Dan and have him GPS it, and
I thought you did.
I did, but he was supposed to be here tonight, and he isn't, so we'll work something out and get a letter
To FEMA,
to
to ask
to the
them to
bank,
amend, to the bank?
FEMA
Okay.
and the bank,
I
yeah,
see,
yeah.
right, okay.
The bank is the one that's,
Because they're following the national flood,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah. The minute they look at the map and say you're in flood zone,
even if you're not.
even if you're not.
So they got a house down where a mailbox is, down
Yeah.
by the old garage.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So how long is this gonna...
I'll get with him.
This has been carrying on for some time.
Yeah.
I see.
And we took a long time fighting to get Tony out of it, and we finally made it. And now we're going right back to with my daughter.
Yeah.
There's a letter.
I'm in the flood zone, I know I live right in the brook, but
Yeah.
I don't care. But the goddamn water never bothered me, went down both sides of the road.
but the person who lives there after.
Went right around you.
Went right around me, I was sitting there with both going both sides. Yeah. I know.
All right, so,
I'll get in contact with Dan and Frank, and we'll get some sort of a letter.
When?
I'll get right on it in the morning.
All right, well, I'll be right on you if you don't.
I'm gonna hibernate anyway for the rest of the fall, so yeah,
All right, that's all I'm asking, to get her out of the flood zone to save my daughter $600
I
a
don't
year.
blame him,
There's no reason
especially
she
if she's
should
not
be.
really in the flood zone.
No.
A mistake, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
because she's, actually, this building should be in the flood zone, really, because she is down over here too much.
she's about 20 feet below here and 50 feet above the brook, so.
Yeah, yeah, all right, so it seems like it's an error.
Yeah, well, definitely, well, it's not an error. According to Pete, they did all the
It's a
flood map
bureaucratic
from an
process.
ortho map, they just, and,
So they got a flat map, and you live here, so you,
yeah, so so.
Got it. All right, so our chair's gonna get on it, huh?
I'll get right on it.
I'll be on you if you're not.
Yeah.
I'd like to get this settled, it's been
I don't
going on
blame
too
you.
long. And she could use the $600,
Yeah.
they'll give it back to her
Good.
as soon as she's got a paper to show her that she's not in flood.
Well, that's good to know. So she won't lose it if they get that straightened out.
Yep.
Good.
All right,
I'll put C Dan right here in big letters, and then I'll leave this one.
very good, I won't bother you more,
Thank you.
unless it don't get done.
Yeah.
Then we'll hear from you.
We'll be back.
See you,
All right.
Okay. Southeastern Vermont Economic Development Strategies. I thought when I got this folder in the mail that it was something that,
Let's approve the minutes.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we might want to back up
I would
to,
like to make the motion that we approve the minutes of the, what's the date on that one?
Put the
Great.
current
October
post
8th.
there.
I second.
all in favor?
Aye. Yeah, I knew there was something missing.
I do too, I know where it is.
The brain.
Oh, Lord. I didn't want to watch the debate tonight anyway.
I gathered.
That's been helping me fall asleep.
So what's the Southeastern Vermont Economic Development Strategy?
Well, I thought it was some sort of a flyer that was going to help with the planning commission, so I gave it to Pete, and he read through it, because he was on the planning commission, and I come in this morning, and he said, actually, what it is a request for $3 per head for everybody in town,
Oh,
For what?
for economic development strategies.
so this is their work plan,
Yeah,
and this group who we see pictured here are the board members.
Yeah.
And so they're asking each town to contribute $3 per person, per citizen, per voter, per what?
and
Per homeowner, how are they?
Per,
person.
like our regular assessments per capita.
Okay.
And my initial response is they need to be a lot more explanatory than they are, and Wyndham Regional does the same thing that they're trying to do in a sense, that it should be. So at this point, I
What
would,
would it be for us, $3 per person? That would be
$6 grand.
$6,000.
I haven't read through that in detail, but one of the things that I would question is for towns that are extremely rural and don't have the type of economic development potential that the larger or centralized towns have, that they're asked to pay the same assessment but not be able to reap the same benefit. Does that make sense?
Yes. And also, I mean, it was very interesting. I went to a Senate hearing, and I think that this group was represented. They were talking about concerns around Wyndham County, and I spoke about Guilford concerns. But the vast majority of that at the time,
It involves out of broadband and availability of communications. I think it evolved out of that, that wasn't our real problem. The real problem is economic development.
But it was about economic development
Sure.
here, but it also focused a lot on, just to reinforce what you're saying, on the bigger towns, on Rockingham, on Brattleboro,
Yeah.
and the tremendous concerns about our economic future, but primarily in those areas.
Yeah.
I mean, because we in Guilford don't really have an economic engine as such, and
Sure.
nor do most of the rural
Right.
communities. I think we really need to. That would be a big contribution for. I'm not sure that it makes sense. I think we need to learn more about it.
I would be more glad to entertain a motion either no or we table it until we find out.
Or
think
or
we
you
should
could
table
invite
it.
them, I don't even think it's a matter of voting anything, it's an invitation for them to come speak.
Well, yeah, but
I think that would be.
So maybe,
Either way or no, we'll take care of it in a hurry.
you know what I'll do is I'll try to see if I can find this document online, and I will email the link to you guys to look over
Sure.
and invite them to,
Invite a
a
representative.
representative,
Yeah.
not them,
It's-
someone to come speak.
Yeah, it's $6,000 for the town, I don't know why we should waste their time.
Well,
I'm not sure, I
But
want to
I
hear
think-
more about it. I really understand enough about what they're saying to just say no out of hand.
or you could provide valuable information to them to maybe go back and think about things for the smaller, more rural towns.
I say we table it until we invite somebody to come and explain
Yeah, I
it a
don't
little
think you
more.
actually make a
Accept that.
decision. It's more just a,
Aye.
they request.
I,
Okay.
Yeah, let's,
Just
find
taking
out
up more
more.
time of the
I-
select board meeting,
I'm
that's all.
sorry, but it's, you know, it just, you know.
I thought you were gonna get some good information this morning from me. Rescue contract services.
For 2013, 2014, for next year.
Their increase was,
Not much. It's only like $1,000 a year of that, $21.75. So,
So what we would do, we don't need to take a motion on this, do we? Or do we need to accept this contract? We're gonna fold it into our budget?
we're gonna fold it into our budget.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it becomes, I guess, this is kind of the issue that we talk about each year is, I'm moving it
Oh.
out of the human services. Do you wanna engage in the contract and have it be a budgeted expense item, since it's a contracted item? If you sign and you engage in the contract,
There's no reason to even have it really on the floor, because there's, I
No,
mean, it's
no.
separately, because they
No, it's an
kind of
operating
can't
expense.
say no, yeah, because
Yeah.
we've already contracted.
how much was it this year? For, how much is it for 13, 14?
It was 45 and change this year,
Yeah,
and it's, sorry, 46,131.75. It's like $1,100 more.
yeah. It's $45,007.62. Just like $1,100 more.
So, do you, I mean, how do people feel about that? I think that it makes sense for us, do they have a date that they'd like us to sign the
No,
contract
I mean,
by?
we string it out every year and they don't really say anything. And
I mean, I don't understand
do
why we
you-
don't just sign it and put it in our operating budget personally. It seems
Well,
like
yeah.
a done deal.
yeah, it's,
There's also some, just to kind of add a little more meat to the matter, there's some discussion about them reorganizing the board of rescue,
Mhm.
which, and you might be able to shed more light or clarify what I'm saying, that they're going from a board that's composed of town representatives to a board that's an appointed sort of, that's more a traditional nonprofit board,
Mhm.
not made up of
Representatives. just-
Correct. So it's a smaller, more concentrated board focused on issues with, I think, a membership weighing in, but not decision-making.
So the bottom line for me is though, I am going to guess, regardless of the formation of their board, we're gonna use their services. So from my point of view, it would make sense for us just to enter into the contract and put it in our operating budget and not have it separately.
We don't
I'll make a
have,
motion to that effect.
yeah, we don't have an ambulance in our
No,
town. so.
no, yeah.
Was that your motion? I second.
all in favor.
Right.
Green Up Day coordinator. Troy, what are you doing Green Up Day?
I am opening my camp that weekend. No, I cannot do that.
Well, wait a minute. So Ellie will not be the green up coordinator?
No,
I don't,
she's-
have you
she's-
talked
I
to
think
her?
she'll take it, yes. I talked to her, and I hope you will continue to be.
Sorry,
Green Up
Ellie,
Day
if you're
coordinator.
watching.
I'd like to make a motion that we beg Ellie to continue her excellent work.
Very good motion, yes.
I second, and Dick will be there very carefully.
Yeah.
Aye,
Aye.
good.
She is excellent.
She's excellent.
She is. She's excellent.
Yes.
She is. She's great.
Access, unregistered access gate agreement,
Um,
V-Trans in town of Guilford.
Yeah, this is the gate on the interstate.
Up to the Welcome Center?
Strictly
No, to get onto the interstate from
Oh,
Route
yeah,
5.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Remember, do
Who
you
has
remember when that
keys?
used to be an entrance?
Yes, I do. 51 DeSoto, we used to go down, boom, down to 50 miles an hour.
Fire department's got one.
And that's
That's all,
That's
it
who
is.
it
Fire
talks about.
department rescue, the other ones can use it.
Yeah, and all the kind of,
And anybody who has a 51 DeSoto.
yes, which nobody does anymore, so we're all good. Yeah, it's the use, it's the keys, it's the liability, it's all
So
of
we
it.
need a
Basic,
motion,
yeah.
an annual motion
Yeah.
to update the contract for provision of emergency medical services on to 91 from Route 5, that entrance.
I second.
Yeah, all in favor?
I'm not the board.
Well, yes, you are actually.
Well, I am the board, I'm not the
You're on the other
board.
side.
Robin's.
We all get to sign?
Yeah.
This is going to the state?
Yeah.
Last time I signed something like that, I ended up in Iraq. What is this?
Just on the.
Third one down? Second one down? Which one you signed?
Doesn't matter, Tickle's on the top one and we'll put
You
Sharon.
signed the second one alphabetically on the third.
Okay.
So we're good.
That's a teaching error.
You want to screw out, so you
Well,
just
I
say.
think
It's the alphabetizing practice.
so did someone move it?
Yes,
Yes.
second and voted.
Yeah, we're moving it back and forth.
And moved, I second, we all lied. Uh-oh. Excuse me.
Okay, and this one, yes.
Did you get?
Okay,
Perfect, thank you guys.
I take it that's the Green River Covered Bridge
Yes.
lack of process mediation agreement or something?
No, that's the agreement that we hashed out for the project management for the Green River Cover Bridge that we talked about last time. So we went through all of it and got to a good common ground.
Help me remember what good common ground we got.
Good common ground
Who's
is
managing the project? Oh, I remember.
joint.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Joint
divvying up
management.
the responsibilities. So it's basically, I forget how much the grant administration piece of the grant is, especially where there's two grants merged into one now. But what it is a not to exceed $5,500 for their services. So it averages about 85 hours that they contribute to the kind of dealing with procuring the construction contractor and bid documents.
But you will be doing the sort of the finance piece.
I'll work with it to
Right.
kind of
Right, to
the
keep our costs down.
Yeah, put it this way: the stuff that I can do,
You will do.
I will do.
Right. So do we need a motion? Because you're right, we
Yes,
did talk
please.
about that.
Yes, please.
I just needed reminding.
So,
Move to authorize the board chair
To do what?
to sign.
Oh, okay. So I'd like to make a motion that we authorize the board chair to sign the agreement between Wyndham Regional Commission and the town of Guilford for the project management for the Green River Covered Bridge.
all in favor? Southern Vermont Rivers Conference. No place to sign.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Wilmington.
yes. It was a very good conference. It was all headwaters, floodplains, how rivers react to different forces, how debris plugs up bridges and culverts.
Is this a conference that's happened with regularity before?
No,
I don't think so.
no,
It says,
this
do you
is
think
the
this
first
came out of Irene?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And it was very, very interesting. And there was one of the guys was, first one was, I kind of missed what she was talking about. The
She
second
was
one,
an A&R river specialist.
yeah, there was specialist. And then there was Dan McKinley, who was another side of that. And then we had,
He was from Department of Fish and Wildlife.
yes.
And he spoke about, he's like a fishery kind of person that talked about the impact of work in rivers and streams
Right.
on the habitats.
He said, and I didn't catch the name of that river, but there were 3,000 fish per mile at one point.
You didn't catch that?
I didn't catch that.
It woke a bunch of people up in the room though, didn't it? It was like
But he said after the flood, it went down to what, 500 or something like that. But it built itself back up. And then it went on. And then the last one that we actually was really interesting was geosynthetics,
geotextiles.
all the stuff that they use to,
That's what it is.
rebuild roads with now.
Oh, no kidding.
It was fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating. There are so many different technologies, and of course, we left the meeting, and I was riding with Dan, so I'm like, oh, there's
Yeah,
so
I
much we
mean,
could do.
so,
Cool applications to build strength in roadways to eliminate huge problems in the long haul.
Wow.
Yeah.
it kind of probably fit in well with our possible future plans of not blacktopping, just building the roads up.
Mhm.
So,
Like rebuilding certain sections of roadway that we dump
That we
tons of
dump,
money into every
right,
year
every
for
year.
mud season.
Right. Good.
Yeah,
And then,
it was fascinating.
and then Dave Antone from.
Was Dan there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Dan was there. And then Dave Antone from, Local Roads gave a presentation on the equipment, unbelievable amount of equipment that a town crew would need to have to work on a bridge around water. I mean, boats and life vests and ropes and harnesses.
Overkill.
And,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Luckily-
basically, you need to call on the Coast Guard
Yeah, luckily we
to
don't
work
have,
in your river.
we don't have any situations that really fit what he was talking about, but Dan decided because we had to have a boat, we'd buy a 50-footer with a 100-foot motor on it to have on hand.
Good.
And you
Yeah.
take it right up to the brook with all that trout.
Yeah. Fire station maintenance, so this is a good one.
I don't know what this one is. We'll have to-
I was approached by one of the trustees that we gotta paint the firehouse, it's 7 years old.
Oh, right.
And we have bids from $12,000 to $18,000. What do you think? Should the fire department put it in their budget, or should the town put it in their budget? Or, and this is
Like
where I
a
went,
party
I
to
said,
me.
or, why don't you, it's 7 years old, it's not gonna fall down, why don't you start a capital budget and spread it out over 2 or 3 years? And
It's not even chipping.
it's not even chipping. It's, well, it's your building, you know, we want to keep it nice, and I said, granted, but I said, I don't think it's gonna fall down in a year's time.
Well, but the other thing is, I think you made an excellent point,
Yeah.
which is that a big hit like that, you've got to do some pre-planning for. They can't just bring that on a budget in a 1-year cycle.
And they actually thought that was a great idea to put a capital plan and go at least 2 years, well, I said 2 years at a minimum. But I
12 to 18,000?
This is where it's hard.
And I also suggested doing some checking about the fire department or us buying the paint for the contractor. Get your bids with the contractor buying the paint, and bid to the contractor with us buying the paint. I said, unless I miss my guess, it's probably a 10 or 20% markup per gallon of paint. And I said, you're looking at a lot of gallons to paint that firehouse. And I said, by the way, you're going to change the color. They said, well, we're thinking about it. So that is that. And I definitely discouraged as much as I could.
I bet you if you put that out on the floor on town meeting day and said, would you authorize this expense if we change the color? People would be like, yep.
Yeah, I think
We're gonna
so.
change it just to get rid of the
I think so too. So that's that.
Sorry.
So
I thought you were going to suggest that at town meeting on the floor we vote on colors. And
Are you kidding me? No way. Voting on colors is very important.
they will be bringing their budget to us whenever we're ready for it, I guess, in next month sometime.
Is there any contemplation of taking a face at a time?
This
Like they'll do the front this year, we'll do, the sides next.
no, I
I
think
wonder about the economy of scale, though, if you're going
Sure,
to hire
oh no, I
somebody.
know.
I think
But I also didn't know if they'd take it on as maybe volunteers would come.
I suggested that also.
Because I
went
have to
to-
think people would
yeah.
come out and paint your local
Yeah,
fire
I went the whole
station.
gamut with it,
Would.
volunteers,
Well,
buying
not
the
be the
paint.
most, spectacular job in the world, but where it's only 7 years old, you're not dealing with lead, you're not dealing with critical prep work.
No, if you're
It's
really not.
pretty easy.
No.
But it's
It's
also
good.
pretty high off the ground. I mean,
Power
It
wash
is.
it and paint.
It is,
yeah, so, then you're dealing with liability
sure,
and volunteers doing stuff up high on ladders. So
absolutely.
Volunteers don't volunteers, isn't there a thing about volunteers, volunteer at their risk or some such thing as that?
I don't know, it's just
I
a
don't know.
shame that
I
all
think
of a
it's
sudden
some- I think it's
tort
a little-
laws precluding
I'm not
people
sure
from,
about that.
you know,
Well,
becoming
volunteer
good
fire
civic.
department volunteers, and they're pretty well trained.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
I'm just
okay.
saying,
Okay.
there's a lot of, I
Mhm.
don't know, we could ask, they could ask.
So I-
Yeah, I agree.
Or even ask local painters to say, hey, would
It would be
you do
definitely,
the high fire,
it
someone do the low?
will definitely be open for discussion when they bring the budget to us.
Okay, good.
Ancient roads, we desperately need a program that change links, rods, old iron posts, big elm trees and all that to numbers that you can GPS, so you can lay out these roads. There are 3 units out there. They cost about $200, $250 for the program.
Mhm.
I asked Bill Jewell, I said, is there any use for, because they said, should we take it out of the conservation budget or town budget? And I said, is there any reason that we could use it in the town in the future? And he said, definitely. I mean, every road.
Well, that's what I was thinking. We've certainly talked about,
Every road in town is set up, links, rods.
But if
and-
we were to do parcel mapping service, would that
No.
be a component of that?
Well, they could do that, yeah.
That's what I'm
They could do that,
saying.
Yeah.
If we're gonna be looking into doing that,
Yeah.
and that we're working with a company that has the capacity to do that, or has that as a part of their software package that we'll be using, will we automatically get it with that? Versus
No,
going out and
no,
buying
They might have
ArcGIS?
it, but we couldn't have it to do the roads with, no. That would be, that's, the roads are nothing they would deal with.
Who's
and-
gonna use it?
It would be done by, on a computer.
Mm-hmm.
You just type in, you take
so
your.
just the Conservation Commission would use it?
No.
Okay.
Every road in town is set up with the old road links, rods, and whatever. And if you were to blacktop this road down through here, you'd have to hire a surveyor to come in and guess what? You'd have to change that links, rods, and change to feet and all that stuff. So it's not something that wouldn't be used.
So.
Because we need to get, the question I said I would bring would, should we do it with the town budget or their budget? And that's why I asked Bill about would the town use it otherwise, and it's quite obvious.
And tell me how much you're gonna, one would pay for this?
No, $200.
It seems like it might make sense to put it in the highway budget for next year, if you're gonna use it primarily for the roads.
Yeah, the thing is, we need to get on the horse on the ancient ones.
I understand, I'm just thinking, if it's in the town budget, that's where it makes sense for it to be, or in the Conservation Commission's budget.
Yeah.
What would we use it for regular roads for?
Anytime you want to do work, if we're going to do our own road, rebuild our own roads,
Yeah,
you hire a surveyor
yeah,
to survey that section of road.
yeah.
That's what he's gonna do, is change all of those links, rods, and change to feet, miles, and stuff that he can, and,
Right.
You won't have to do that anyway.
He would have to do that, I would imagine.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying, I don't know how we would use that software for our regular roads that are,
For the
that are
roads that are
existing.
done, you wouldn't, but I mean, anything in the future, you would, you could, yeah. No, it's it definitely, the Conservation Committee definitely needs it, but I mean, it's
I got waylaid by this. Sorry.
yeah.
Sorry, wasteful.
So we get back in a minute, because Steph left, he was here, but, so,
I don't know what to say. I just don't know enough about it, about whether this is a piece of equipment. It certainly seems like it would be helpful to the Conservation Commission. If it wouldn't be helpful to the town highway as well, I would say ask the Conservation Commission to put it
let
in the
me ask
budget.
Dan.
Yes, sir.
Bill Joel brought a proposal to the Conservation Committee to buy a program for the computer that changes rods, length, change, and all that stuff into feet, miles. And do you see any use for it in the town other than ancient roads?
Not really.
Okay, all right, so we'll take it back to the,
Can I ask how much it's cost?
about $200.
It's a pretty quick calculation. calculation.
Yeah.
It's 16.5 feet per rod.
Yeah.
So,
So what this does, it takes the whole, you know how the old roads are laid out with page after page of rod lengths, stone walls, elm trees, and all that stuff. You just put all that into that program, and it does the math and spits it back out in feet and miles.
I think it's a conservation commission budget. That's not a big ticket item, I think.
I would think that too.
Okay. And the website, I don't know what that was about, other than the Conservation Commission is going about their own way with the website, and I said that Prav actually is going to try to have his blog set up for the next
Oh,
meeting.
good.
Yeah.
Are they in contact with Rob?
No, I said I would suggest that you work with Prav on this.
Just back to the software.
Yeah.
It will have to go on a computer.
Mhm.
So
This
who's
is
going to use
conservation.
it? That's what I'm saying. How are
Commission
they
got
going
it
to
from you,
use
yeah.
it? They don't have a. Will they come in here and use it?
Yeah. They're just going to get the book, the old book, and they bring out the road that's got all of this information on it, and they sit on the computer and plug that information in.
Okay.
And it does the math and spits it back out in feet and miles.
I would think Bill would have that software.
He doesn't. He knows how to do it, but he doesn't have the software. And that's Wyndham Regionals had those old maps for Premier Year now.
So have they asked Wyndham Regional Commission if they could borrow a laptop of theirs that has ArcGIS on it?
They don't have the program. That's why they haven't done it.
But that's a standard program.
Yeah.
If that's the program that it is,
Yes, it is.
do you know what it is?
I can run it up here.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm just saying, there might be other resources that we can use without having
Yeah.
to buy this piece of software to do this one thing and then never
We are
use it
soon going to
again.
be in 2013, 2015 we're done. If we want to save any roads, we got to get off our butts and get them done.
Mhm.
And that piece of equipment will do it. I think we need to get it. Sorry for full.
It's okay.
So, are you thinking then that it's too long to wait to put it in the Conservation Commission's budget because they won't have access to
They
it
have
until
it.
July of
Oh,
They
2000?
have
we have-
$1,000
there's
in
money
their
in
budget,
it.
they never spend it.
Oh,
They
wow.
can,
They can spend it.
yeah. They were just, the question was,
Do we want it after they're done?
was there something that the town could use in the future with it, or if not, they would get it? And
I think they should get it.
Yeah.
That'll make it quicker for them to just get it and get on the stick with this, get it done.
Okay.
you don't know how much fun Bill and I had doing those alternate roads.
I can
Want to get
imagine.
them on the map?
Yeah.
Okay, let's back up to Dan.
Sorry, I'm late.
Come on up, Dan. We're way in the back behind the camera.
Dan, also at some point sign in too.
I did.
Oh, good, all right. Hello.
Sorry they waylaid me up there. They wanted to talk all about solid waste for it.
Oh my gosh, you mean you've been out there?
Well, I've been out there for 10 minutes.
Oh.
Well, whenever they left.
You're solid.
So are you well versed in Act 148 now? I bet you are.
So Dan, are you aware of the issue that, this is, are you talking about this Steps Wires issue? Or-
Yes,
okay.
yes, that's the two things he was here for.
Okay.
Did you GPS it by any chance?
What's that?
Did you do any GPS in Denver?
No, I did not.
Dan and I did the other day when we were down there investigating the thievery.
Mhm.
It's 646 at the brook and 698 in front of the trailer, I believe. I think
Okay.
those are the figures, it's roughly 50 feet. And I was going to give those figures to you when you came in tonight, but
Okay. The numbers again?
I think it was 646. and
646
and
at the brook.
At the brook. And 698 at the trailer,
Okay.
at the doorstep. Yeah. And that's all I can help you with.
Okay.
The rest of it, it's,
All right, let me talk to Stibby on this.
okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so that was the first thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Stibby, I see, it looked like he was here earlier?
Yeah, he
Yes,
was,
he was.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll talk to him this week.
Yeah.
better be tomorrow, he's gonna get on
Yeah.
his case.
Was that?
It's gotta be tomorrow.
Gotta be tomorrow. Talk to be tomorrow. Tuesday.
Exclamation mark.
I will make that happen.
Good.
All right, and then the other thing was about the road dispute resolution, and I actually put a letter together and made sure you had a copy. Have you seen that?
No.
All right, I dropped 2 copies off here. One for, this was quite a while ago, a week ago or so.
With me?
No,
Peter?
Penny?
Penny. And one was for Dan Zabrowski and one was for you.
Oh.
So, basically the review, this is the property down below the Lumpkins and Green River. And there was an issue in that there's a landlocked piece that is to be lumbered.
Okay.
John and Robin Strunk on that. And it's quite a distance back, about 4,000 feet back off the Green River Road. And there was confusion. I was actually asked by the Lemkes just to sit in as an unbiased witness. Steve was rather upset.
Because they would be hauling this lumber.
Because Carrie Tyler, and I've worked with Carrie quite a bit, would basically upgraded that. It used to be a town road 100 years ago. Upgraded that road, did some cut and fill, brought in gravel for 4,000 feet. And
It was a legally discontinued road.
it was legally discontinued.
So
So anyhow,
just to give some background.
the issue from the Lemkes were that, wait a second, you didn't even ask us about this.
And it's on their property.
It's, it's on our property, you did cut and fill on our property, and actually Don Visacek also called me. And I said, you should talk to your forester. I sent him a copy of the letter too. And he had the same thing, he was not contacted. So the 2 property owners feel that they were not contacted properly whatsoever, nor did they give any permission for this to happen. So I said, look, when that was happening, I said, look, I'll research about the road and whether that really is a road or not. And I had heard from both Dick and Dan that's not a town road. But I wanted to get it documented, so I came in here, worked with Katie, and what I found was that that was a road up to 1900. That it actually was called the Wheeler Hill Road for quite a while. It's also called the Stark Road, or the old highway between Halifax and Green River. So I had 3 different names. It is a 2-rod road, not a 3-rod road. The first 685 feet of it was discontinued from Halifax in 1896, and the rest of it, over 4,000 feet, was discontinued in 1900. And there's a document that I have a copy of, signed both by the Select Board of Halifax and Guilford, which was proper because it was a road connecting the 2 townships, basically giving up that road back in 1900.
So the landlocked land is in Guilford, though?
It
It's
is
just
in
the old
Guilford.
road used to go through between Guilford.
It's fairly close to the Halifax line, but
Okay.
it definitely is in Guilford.
Okay.
It's about 40 acres.
Yeah.
40 acres from when they first marked it off. Lately, it's been claimed to be about 36.5 acres. So,
It's in this general area here, isn't it? Do you happen to know the parcel number?
go further down, past Randall Drive,
Down here?
and follow the brook. Go further up towards Randall Drive, and you see that brook.
Here? This is the old Stark Road right
There
here.
it is.
That's
That's
it.
it. That's it.
1795.
1795. That's right. And actually, we went back all the way to 1795, which was fascinating because what we found, that was the first reference for it, and the town select board had actually hired a surveyor to survey it out because the owners back then wanted to do a slight alteration to it. And if you go back there are quite a few old housing sites, cellar holes and whatnot. So anyhow, we tracked it back to 1795. But by 1900, it was given up officially and legally. So the town, I reported back to everybody the next day, the town has not owned that road since 1900. This is a private matter. The town shouldn't be involved with this whatsoever. And also reference a couple things. One is relative to landlocked properties, that there is what's called a right of necessity,
Uh-huh.
so that if you need to access that property, you know, relative to a housing site, relative to day-to-day activities, there are means by the rules of statutes in Vermont that you can do that. But there's something separate for removing timber.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually pulled up from 2002 a Secretary of State opinion that stated, because this isn't the first time this has happened in Vermont, that if there's going to be removal of timber from a landlocked piece, and you do not have a right-of-way from the adjoining properties, and you need access to get out, that you can petition the select board for that right-of-way for removing the timber out.
Right.
However, the select board, typically, if they grant that right-of-way, typically they ask for a bond, so that when the timber is removed, that a bond is put up so that the right-of-way is then put back to the original condition. Or it's up to the select board, they could actually deny it.
Mm-hmm.
It's at their give and take. So basically, for me, it was investigation to say, you know, look, there's a private matter, there are some things that you can do relative to timber removal, but you got to follow the rules.
Right.
So that's what the letter's about. And there is and I'll you know what, I'm going to send you via email.
Okay,
But-
okay,
but
yeah, that's fine.
I think
That's
we should
okay.
have it in the town.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So that's all that's about.
So then they have yet to resolve their issue, but it's not our issue.
It is not the town's issue.
Until
And-
the person who's logging or whoever wanted to petition the board, which they probably should have done before they started.
Yeah, that's like,
So it's kind of a moot
Yeah.
point.
So actually, I walked what they had done to the road. They've done quite a bit, extensive work to that road, a full 4,000 feet back.
That's far.
Yeah.
See, the other end of that in Halifax is a town trail.
That's right. It is a trail in Halifax, but we chose not to have it as anything in Guilford. Well, those in 1900 chose that.
sure.
I wasn't around. I'm pretty old, and I'm not. So.
So do you find that road is improved to a logging road standard, or?
To a logging road standard.
Okay, okay,
They'll be able to get trucks up there right now.
okay,
So, and he put in a landing.
okay.
So,
There's
How
landing
about the
wheel.
disturbance to the stone wall?
yeah, but maybe we shouldn't get into that issue right now. Because I think from a property line standpoint, there's going to be some
Yeah.
questions.
Where the landing
We
is.
need that.
That still
Yes.
comes to does that still kind of fall under the private property dispute?
It is very much a private
Okay,
property
so it's
dispute.
not-
So,
Nothing to do with us.
the private property, the lawyers and the private property disputes
And a nice land
are
surveyor
going to have,
or two.
right. And that's the other problem is from a land surveying, none of that property has been properly surveyed. You go back and they'll talk about the old Stark Road or Willard Hill Road being the property line. There is no reference even to stone walls. There is some references to some beech and some maples, but they're not around anymore. So, you're going all the way back to the 1700s.
See, they had
Yeah,
that
I know.
program.
We had a GPS and we had the program and we converted from rods to feet, and that could have been better. So anyhow, I just wanted to report about that.
Thank you.
But there is a letter, but as far as I'm concerned, it's not a town issue.
Yeah, thank you,
I
Dan.
didn't think it would begin with, but I'm
No,
glad.
but I
you
wanted
went
to,
into it.
I wanted
Yeah.
to do the
Yeah,
research
I'm
and
glad you
and
got
make
into
sure.
it,
And basically, the other thing, I am one of the fence viewers, and that's the other thing in the letter is, look, fence viewers, you have to petition one, the select board.
Mhm,
There are three of us, Mark Garland, Dan, and myself.
mhm.
And we have to be directed by the select board.
Right,
And the other thing relative to the statutes of the state of Vermont, we don't have a lot of power.
right.
We can't determine ownership, we can't determine boundary lines.
Not in today's world.
No, that's what surveyors are for.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the other
And
thing. that's in the
surveyors
letter.
do have that program that converts.
That's right. Okay,
Yeah, good, interesting.
Thank you.
Interesting
thank you.
report.
And I'll talk to Cindy tomorrow.
And I was gonna say, I got to see Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
All right, thank you.
very much.
See ya. Good to see you.
Alright, let's go right over the highway here and trot right along. Security camera for, Wednesday, I believe it was, discovered that a fair amount of steel guardrail post had been stolen from the old town garage, and the value was roughly around $1,000. I guess the figure's $1,200 in the paper,
$1,200
but
in the paper, but
it's
yeah.
somewhere around there. And the sheriff came out and we talked to him about it. He took some photos of the wheel tracks and et cetera, and footprints. He said, just so you know, he said that Brookline has had a terrible splurge of people stealing steel posts off the lawns, going on people's property
Everywhere's had
and
it,
peeling.
just for fun.
And I said, you're trying to say it's headed this way? And he said, it might well could be. So we thought probably that, especially over here at the garage, we should get a camera.
And there's no way you can put any of that stuff out, you have to leave it out. Right?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
We don't really have dry storage to.
Did you get the quote?
I have it right here.
You got the quote for the camera today that came in?
One of the things Dan and I were talking about this morning, and he thought it should include 3 cameras, but it only shows 2, so I don't know how that would, oh, no, there's the extra camera, my bad. The estimate came in at 2,969 plus the additional camera for a total of 3,269.
3,000.
Yeah, and it's the same company that does the school, so Troy has familiarity with the system. It
This amount annually?
No,
Or
that's
just
the
It's just
equipment to do it. We monitor ourselves.
I see.
So it will feed into a recorder in Dan's office.
So what is Dan's sense about this? Is this something clearly it sounds like he wants to do it? Is he waiting to budget it next year? Does he have money in his budget this
Sounds
year?
like now.
I think it's one of those, I mean,
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm fine with that. I'm sure he's got money that he can.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah.
I'm sure he does.
I mean, guardrail posts are minimal compared to what could happen if somebody really got on a rampage stealing stuff.
Yeah, I understand.
Just from tools and everything
All the
else in the
time, yeah.
garage.
I mean, even though the garage is alarmed, it still can get in there and do serious.
All right. So he doesn't need a motion from us. He's really just bringing this up to us.
Probably ought to.
I think, yeah.
Okay.
You guys authorize all expenses, even if he's not in charge.
No, I understand.
Yeah,
Like
he's-
he's
he's
buying gravel
recommending
and
it.
stuff like
Sure,
this. Okay,
sure.
he usually just does
Yeah,
that.
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
but this is kind of a unique,
This is, okay.
yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion that we authorize Dan to buy a security surveillance camera for the town garage and the area around the town garage.
All in favor. And there's also another camera, I don't know if that third camera is the one that can be remotely set up down at the old town garage
No,
to
that's a different one, because he was
a
talking about.
different camera,
that
but
one.
it'll go into the system.
Mm-mm.
What he said it would. I talked to him this morning.
Well, let's just
We'll
get
follow
clarity.
up on
No,
that.
but that's, yeah, anyway. Okay,
Oh, show our card, Danny.
got that out of the excess weight permit for C.A. Johnson Incorporated.
There's 2 of them, sorry. Actually, Dick will sign them. He usually does.
Yeah, I was just looking.
Okay.
He's a trip hauler out of,
Winchester. So moved. I move that we authorize Jocelyn Incorporated as well as Paula Croy Incorporated to be granted excess weight permits with the usual stipulations.
sign that one.
Is that? So I'll just wipe that out.
Yeah, it might be a good idea, yeah.
I made a motion.
Oh, all in favor? Aye. Should we run, we're doing all right.
I don't know, we're doing fine. I don't know where, Troy must have had an emergency.
General update for the highway, he's got the leaf blower functional, he's out blowing leaves and grading roads. The FEMA work as far as armoring the banks is done. They're replacing culverts now where needed, and I'm not sure the status of the FEMA money, but the only thing left under the FEMA umbrella is graveling.
And have we been paid, Katie? Have we gotten all the money?
No, and
That's,
explaining this to Dan, I can't submit for the work for these large projects until it's all done.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
have to wait until the last man hour has been booked in our system. I can't submit for, we've been paid for everything except our large projects.
We've been paid for everything we've
We've
submitted for,
been
but we
paid
can't
for
submit.
$27,000 more than what we expended for invoiced expenses for Irene. So, in terms of the large projects and getting back some of that labor and equipment, we're going to get that
I
back.
think you're not gonna gain anything on this riprap you've done, because one of those projects wasn't FEMA funded, but it had to be done anyway,
Yeah.
so. Alright,
So I've been tracking everything, I've been
Mhm,
copying
sure.
everything, I've been scanning everything, and actually that's going to be a software request that we're probably going to be asking for is an upgrade for our Adobe, so that
Yeah.
you can take individual PDF files and merge them into one. So that when I submit everything, that one project might have 30 or 40 PDF files that go along with it, that if I can merge it into
Yeah.
one, I don't have to photocopy every PDF file and then go scan it into one. It's a,
can't have it,
no?
I couldn't get mine.
It's more $200.
It's less.
I'd like to make a motion that we pay 3 payrolls. One for October 7th, the amount of $7,895.15. One for October 14th in the amount of $4,341.29. And one for October 21st, the amount of $4,314.93. For a total of payroll of $16,551.37.
All in favor?
So I will also make a motion that we pay warrant number 7, which is extremely large because of all the appropriations that came in at this point, as well as paying Halleck for the water, that pass-through money,
And the fire department bond.
and the fire department bond. So I'd like to make a motion that we pay warrant number 7, the amount of $781,932, let me say that again, $781,932.83.
All in favor? You want the total there too?
Total is that we're paying out this week is $798,484.20.
Ouch.
Did we get an aye out of that? I think we did.
Aye. Let's sign all these before we...
Sure.
And I'm wondering if Troy should sign these. He did review them
He did.
when he's back, which I'm assuming he will be. I don't know what kind of emergency they have up there,
It sounded like it was pretty.
but I'm just thinking, since he did review them and he was at the meeting, maybe would it be kosher for him to sign them after the fact, or is that
They've been approved. I don't
they've been
know.
approved?
Yeah.
Here, you can put those three back in here.
Okay, I will.
That's it.
If he's uncomfortable signing them, he doesn't have to.
No, that's fine. I just
I
was
think
thinking, since he did review them all.
Sure. Thank you.
Alrighty, communications.
We got a letter from the Northern Vermont Resource Conservation and Development Council. That's a mouthful. You know the Better Back Roads program that the Conservation Commission was talking about with their Japanese knotweed?
Yes.
That's been delayed indefinitely because they're trying to figure out funding sources and if they'll get money. So that was just, I passed that information on to the Conservation Commission. We have an application submitted for replacement of a failed dry well. I don't actually know where this is located.
Parcel C630.
Who's the owner?
It's White
Name.
Estate Trust, care of Hemingway and Barnes.
Hemingway?
Yeah, I don't know if it's near us or not. I don't think so.
That could be,
Replacement of failed dry well with pressurized infiltration system, mounted leach system serving 4-bedroom house and a 1-bedroom apartment. Maybe I can find out easily enough.
Doesn't matter. I mean, we're just being informed.
Yes.
yeah, probably on that, okay.
And an approved wastewater permit for, what is it, 769 Guilford Center Road. I think that's the property right next to the Blueberry House.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
it's-
subdividing it?
Yeah. It looks like annexing it to the lot next door. Like,
Which one's that?
subdivide 2 parcels of property from lot 403 and annex to lot 401. A replacement water and wastewater system has been shown on plans for 403.
Is Bruce is selling his house?
Yeah, they're actually, they live in South Carolina now.
Oh,
They moved.
okay, yeah.
I guess is that they moved a backup system onto another parcel to kind of take care of all that. But aren't they on water and sewer? Or sewer?
Yeah,
Sewer.
yeah.
I don't know.
I thought they were,
Yeah,
so
I think they would be.
I don't know what that's all about. And then we have a completed Act 250 application for that Guilford Center Properties, the tri-state
Just put in gas
Passport.
tanks, fuel tanks.
Tustin's property there.
Okay.
So that's that.
And we have no reason for any executive session.
We do.
Actually,
Yeah.
Alright.
that's all right. I would like to move it, but I'm not sure what it's about.
It's a personnel matter.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion that we move into executive session for a personnel matter.
And
To
invite
discuss-
Katie and Penny.
Is Penny still here?
She is actually. I was
Okay.
gonna invite her.
Invite Katie and Penny. Okay, sorry. Motion that we adjust the bookkeeper's pay to a rate of $18 per hour.
All in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to make a motion we adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.